Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Snow White and the Seven Deaths. I'm so happy to be announcing that I am on all platforms that I can physically possibly figure out how to be on. I'm recording, so this video is going to be on YouTube. It's also on Spotify, as always. It's going to be on Apple Music and anywhere else that you find your podcasts. Yay! We're evolving, we're advancing, we're leveling up. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, whoever's watching. It truly does mean the world to me, whether it's a handful of people or a million people. Just because even small conversations can have such a big difference in my life as well as anybody's life that I have these conversations with, or I'm able to get my voice across to, because when you heal yourself, you heal the collective. And it really is just it could be one thing that forms the connection for someone to chase their dreams, or to feel good about themselves, to love themselves, to empower themselves and have passion or faith or anything of that sort. I want to make a difference in this world. I want to honestly start by reading a quote from this book. It starts the book called Ultimate Power. It's by Anthony Robbins. So it says at the top, it says success, and it's kind of like the definition of success from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to succeed. I love that. I think, it's important to reflect on what type of service you're giving to the world, what type of benefit you're giving to the world. Like, how are you making the world a better place? What is your footprint? What is your mark? What are you going to leave? What are you going to do? What are you proud of? What are you making that you're proud of? Because that is what rolls into good mental health and a successful life. Success isn't money, wealth. Success is huge. It's love, it's relationships, it's gracefulness, it's giving, it's how your heart speaks to the world, in my humble opinion. So this is season 2, episode 10 of Snow White and the Seven Deaths. I don't even know if I said that, but welcome to Snow White and the Seven Deaths, season 2, episode 10. I don't even think I've ever said that it's season 2, so I wanted to touch on that. Season 2 started when I moved to Minnesota. I mark my episodes before I upload them as season da-da-da, episode da-da-da, so I don't know if you can see that or not, but I feel like life kind of ebbs and flows in seasons. And when I moved to Minnesota, that started a new season for me. I really love doing this podcast. And when I started, I said I want to do this as kind of almost like a memoir. This is my life story. And in my bio of my podcast, it's not me saying I'm above all, I know all. This is me wanting to learn, wanting to grow, wanting to expand, and sharing my experiences with others. So hopefully maybe someone can have somewhat of a roadmap. Because when I started, it was okay, I want to learn, but where do I start? Where do I go? And when I asked that question, the universe automatically started bringing me people, places, and books and podcasts that expanded that for me. I just, maybe someone stumbles upon my podcast, and when they're starting to ask that question, and then they can go to my website, they can see a list of books that I really loved that helped me a lot, or at least also have something that's relatable, because I'm not sitting here stating that I'm perfect and I know it all. I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm flawed. I still make mistakes, but I'm trying. And yeah, this is me trying. I think it's really important to empower yourself through knowledge, through reading books, listening to podcasts, And also music. I feel like music can really expand your self as well as your like third eye and consciousness and ability to create. I love listening to also success stories of artists and things like that, because they're just normal people. They're just like you and I. They didn't do anything spectacular. What they did is they had a goal, they had a belief, and then they worked towards that goal. You can't just set a goal and then hope and pray that it comes without taking action towards that goal. You have to do something every single day towards that, honestly, and you have to work towards it. You have to fight for it. You have to be able to take rejection, and you have to be able to kind of like, I don't know, have tough conversations. Like when I learn something in a book that I read or a podcast that I listen to, a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but sometimes with people that I'm comfortable with, most often than not, I feel like my brother, because my brother is extremely intelligent. He's got one of the greatest minds that I've ever encountered, if I'm being completely honest. He thinks so raw and real, but at the same time, he tends to be a little bit more pessimistic. I tend to be a little bit more half glass full. And so we'll read together, we'll go to the park, we'll read, and when something interesting comes up or something comes to mind and I'm like, oh, this is what I learned, like da-da-da-da-da. Like, for instance, yesterday we had this conversation, and it was a tough conversation, honestly. I mean, it's easy with him because there's no, I'm not afraid. I'm not fearful. I'm not like, oh, I'll never see him again. He'll hate me forever. Like, he's my brother and I'll forever love him. And I hopefully he forever loves me, which is unconditional love. I feel like having relationships that you can speak openly with, that you know will always have unconditional love for you, is extremely important. And I am very privileged in that, and that I have a family that is so strong and that loves me so much that I can have these tough conversations with. But basically, I was telling him about how I was reading this book about chakras, and I learned that there are 4 more chakras above your head and 1 more chakra below you. And I had no idea. So you have 7 chakras in your body. I've known that for a while, but there are more. There are more. And those ones can literally like unlock superpowers, so they say. Like basically kind of be a little bit of a psychic. I kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a psychic. I'm definitely an empath. Like I can read energies very well, and sometimes they rub off on me and I have to remind myself, this is not my energy, this is not my vibe, but like I want to help them. How can I help them? How can I heal them? And I've talked about this, just being yourself heals others. When you heal yourself, you heal others, and when you speak about what helped you, it helps others. Sometimes it's not always something someone wants to hear. Like I remember when I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, I put that label on myself, like depression, anxiety. And I talked to my friend about it, and she was like, I hate when that happens, because then people kind of walk around with that label and it sticks with them. And she basically was telling me that depression and anxiety is a choice. And at the time, I've also talked about this in other episodes, but I feel like it's very relevant, so I want to bring it back up. At the time, I was like, fuck you, you're such a cunt. Like that's kind of what my internal dialogue was telling me, because I was like, no, I'm depressed and I'm anxious and I can't control it. And that's what my brother was kind of telling me too, is like, I was telling him the one thing that you can control in life is your thoughts and your actions. And he's like, no, I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm like, sometimes thoughts and actions just happen. And I do, when he was telling me that, he was like, well, what about sex trafficking? What about like when people die or things like that in horrible ways, when like a 4, 5, 6-year-old dies? And I didn't have an answer to that, because I was like, oh, well, this is what I was kind of talking about, was because when you open up the chakras, one of them, I forget which one it was. I should have brought that book with me, but it's okay. I wanted to wait to talk about this because I wanted to know more before I talked about this, but it kind of just came up. But one of them, when you like unlock one of the chakras, it enlightens you to kind of know the path that you chose before you came here. And the book was basically saying that before you come to Earth, you sit with divine, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, and you choose your life, your family, your path, your purpose, basically you're choosing what you came down here to learn, what lesson you're wanting to learn while down here. And yeah, he was basically fighting that with me. And then we kind of came to a path of allegiance because his fighting argument also aligned with my argument. Essentially, he was like, I can't control my thoughts. Sometimes I have like really bad thoughts and it's hard for me to subside them. And then I was like, have you stopped smoking weed? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, that could possibly be the cause. This is my experience with it because I was a huge stoner. I smoked weed every single day for just about 4 years, every single day. Since COVID started, every single day. I never took a tea break, not once. And so I was very depressed. I was very anxious. I was in my head so much. And we were talking about kind of how weed makes us feel. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really bad. And I think anything is good in moderation. Today I'm going to go smoke weed with a friend, but I haven't in like 2 weeks. And when you're doing it for enjoyment or every once in a while for like enjoyment, basically, you're doing it to enjoy. That's your soul's purpose is to enjoy. So when you're doing it for that reason, it's beneficial. But if you're doing it as a habit or in a depressive way or to cope with something, it's not great because you can't really pinpoint how you feel. And also like he was saying, he kind of has arguments in his head, and I feel that way sometimes too when I get high, because like if it's like a repetitive thing, like an every single day thing, it's like, why am I doing this? I should be doing something else. I'm wasting my time. It's taking time away from me. And I talked about this on the podcast when I was giving it up, was like, I have given weed more energy than I've given anything else, than this podcast and my family, than anything else. I have given myself to it. And I feel like basically I'm just along for the ride of whatever it takes me on. And I can't control. I lost control to a substance. And that could be with weed, that could be with alcohol, that could be with drugs, that could also be with a person. But yeah, you can't. Essentially, it makes it very, very, very difficult to control your thoughts and control your life if you are under the influence of anything other than your soul. You need clarity. You need clarity. You need clarity to create. You need clarity to consciously move in your life. That's why I go to bed at 9:30. That's why I wake up at 5:30. That's why I go for a morning walk, and then I do yoga, and then I read, and then I shower and get ready, and I start my day that way so that when I go to breakfast in the morning with all the kids, because again, I'm at a summer camp right now, I've already had my day, like in the morning. I've already had my time to myself. I'm not waking up in a chaotic, okay, go, where I can't think for myself. I can't start my day consciously. And then when something triggers me, I'll react right away instead of pausing, breathing, basically being in almost like a meditative state throughout my entire day. Like literally, like a clarity, clairvoyance place. That's what it gives me when I do that. And also when I'm sober and I'm just taking beneficial steps towards myself. I'm choosing myself, and therefore it's benefiting everybody else because I choose myself. And also it inspires other people. Like, why are you going to bed at 9:30? Oh, because I wake up at 5:30. I've got this, and this to do, and I've got my podcast to do, and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, hey, can you hang out tonight, or we're going out? Like, da-da-da. No, sorry, I've got this, and this to do, or I'm reading a really good book. I'm really invested in it. Like, people honestly, like, look at me like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what? Are you serious? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's not normal. It's not normal, but it can be normal for you. And if you choose that path, I promise you will feel a million times better. I promise you. You guys, like, I was so sad. I was in such a dark, ignorant place. I was in the energy of Rajas. We talked about that in the last episode. I was in the energy of Rajas 24/7. And Rajas and Tamas 24/7. I had no time for myself. I was crying multiple times a day. I was so depressed. The only thing I looked forward to is smoking. And literally, I tried to play God and take my life. Literally. And that day on was the day that I was like, fuck this, bro. Fuck this feeling. I'm over it. I'm taking my life back. I'm taking control. Because whatever this is, whatever the choices that I'm doing right now, not it. Not it, dude. I'm so over it. And who you surround yourself with is so important, because depression, anxiety, mental illnesses, things like that, they're contagious. Because when someone talks about it, like, at least for me, I feel empathetic towards it. I feel bad. Like, I want to help them, like I said. And sometimes by helping them, sometimes the easy way to help them seems like to relate to them, to be in that state with them, to comfort them by being in the same place. So it's not like, okay, leave that friend in the dust, but it's like, I need to isolate myself and choose myself for a minute so that I can grow and benefit myself so that I can help them. That's what it is, essentially. And like, I was thinking about this too with I have a friend that I was like, we see differently. And that's not a bad thing, but it is sometimes hard to have conversations where things come up that are triggering. And it's not, I love this person to death, literally to death, and I will never, ever, ever leave them in the dust. But how can I help them? How can I be my best self and have these conversations to help them without pushing my belief system on them or pushing my faith on them to where it repels them either or makes them feel bad about themselves? How can I do that? And it's just by having those conversations. And usually when I have those conversations, other things come up where they give me a pushback. Well, sure, I see that some things that you're saying are true, but I have this example that proves that it's not. Okay, does that person have faith? Did that person have faith? Did they have a strong belief system that something loved them unconditionally? And were they giving back to the world? Were they serving in some sort of way? Were they serving? Were they making themselves proud? Because yes, they can have a great life. They can do amazing things every single day. They can travel the world. But it doesn't matter if you're on a beach. My brother told me this once. We were in France sitting on a beach and we were both hungover, so hungover. I was like probably 16 or 17 at this time. And I was like a little alcoholic when I was in high school. I didn't really have a passion, purpose, anything. I honestly was very, very lost. I was very sad. I was sad for a while, but it really hit in college. Like, just because I felt like everybody was starting to build themselves a little bit more, and I was still so lost, and so many other factors. But just by what I was doing, how I was thinking, what I was communicating to myself, and that transformed into my actions, what I was doing. And he told me, it's like, no matter what, like if I'm on a beach in France or I'm in my room, it doesn't matter, I'm still in my head. So true, so true. So how you communicate to yourself, what you tell yourself, and how, if you wake up hungover and you feel like shit, you're going to start talking to yourself like shit. You're also not proud of the actions maybe that you made last night. Not all of them, maybe. Like, some of them can be fun. Like, I'm not... But when you're dulling the senses and you're making decisions from an unconscious place and you're reacting from an unconscious place and you're being a person that you don't love necessarily or you're not necessarily proud of, it's hard. It's just hard. It's hard, period. There's this book also talks about the 7 basic triggering mechanisms for success. I'm just going to go through them super fast, just read off basically the name of them. And also this book's on my list on my website. If you go to my website, I have a list of books that I think will help you if you want to go to the public library and check some of them out. I know books are expensive. That's what I do. I get like 5 at a time, and then I'll read like a little bit, go to the next one if I get bored, go back to it, see what's interesting, see what interests me. Like, I'm reading a book on acne and like a holistic healing for that, and ancient medicines or ancient remedies. I'm going to get into this in a little bit, but find stuff that interests you, that pulls to you, that you kind of want to help yourself and therefore help others as well with. Knowledge is power, and when you use that knowledge in the world, it benefits everybody. My brother was I'm going to get to this in one second. My brother also mentioned this yesterday. Like, when I hear about or see people do bad things, I almost feel empathy because I feel like I'm part of a whole. So I almost feel like that could potentially be me. Like, no, I'm not a bad person. I don't do bad things, but I feel bad for them because I know that sometimes, like, I have bad thoughts and I don't act on them, but sometimes I feel like maybe that could be me, and I just feel empathy for that person. And I feel that too. So when you're being a good person, you're also inspiring others. It's like, it's the flip of the coin. It's the other side of the coin. Like, yes, there's bad things to look at and feel bad for, but there's also good things to look at and feel great about. So trait number 1 is passion. Number 2 is belief. Number 3 is strategy. Number 4 is clarity of values. Number 5 is energy. Number 6 is bonding power. And number 7 is mastery of communication. You can get this book and read it yourself, but that's basically just like ding, 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 what you need to succeed. I recommend getting a journal. I have 3 right now that I'm currently using all at once. I love journals. I love them. I love them. I love them. I think they're completely necessary for life, for a successful, happy, healthy life. They're kind of all over the place. This is my yoga notes book and like my wisdom book and my thoughts book, like a little like thought-provoking thing. And like, I'll write poems or songs or, mostly poems. They're not songs. There's no music behind them. I never sing them. So poems. And I'll draw in this one. When I'm taking notes off of my books, I'll put it in this. This one's all for my yoga class. So I write my yoga notes in it, and yeah, that's basically that one. And then I have one other one that I do my manifesting stuff in. So basically every morning, the first thing I do, it's not grab my phone. The first thing I do is grab my journal and I write down affirmations. And I write it in an I am. And then at night, before I go to bed, I write down 1 page. Each of them are usually 1 page. Sometimes in the morning I'll do 2, but at least 1 page. At night, I'll take 5 to 10 minutes and I'll write everything that I'm thankful for. I am thankful for, boom. I am thankful for, boom. I am thankful for, boom. Everything. Everything. Food, water, my bed, my family, my friends. Ding, 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 ding. Everything. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Sometimes I go on little loopholes, but I always find my way back. But basically, I really recommend writing down your goals and then after write down the action that you're going to take to get there. So for example, goal is to have the best, most successful podcast in the world. Not because I want fame, not because I want fortune, but because I want to enlighten everybody. I want everybody to think like I do. And instead of the normalcy to talk about depression and sadness, I want the normalcy to be talking about passions and happiness. That's what I want the normalcy for. That's what I want my footprint to be. So that's my goal. It's very far-fetched. Extremely far-fetched. It's extremely delusional. Okay, this might be a little bit off, but Annette Sky says, aim for the mountain and you can just get to the mountain, or you can aim for the stars. Imagine what should be, and then put those imagings into place. It's something along those lines. So yeah, you can aim for the mountain and get to the mountain, or you can aim for the stars and fall on the moon. You've heard that before. Honestly, why shoot short for yourself? Why want less? You have 1 life. Why do you want this? Instead of, you could get all the way up there, you can't. Anybody that you idolize or look up to, they're just like you. They have nothing different. Nothing different. Most of those people, a lot of successful people, come from horrible places. They had terrible things to get over, terrible traumas, everything. Everything from the book that you can imagine. And fame and fortune, I don't think that's ever the goal. I think the goal is to inspire, is to love, is to provoke thoughts in other people. Make the world a better place. I think that should be the goal. And sometimes that takes reaching the masses. That takes reaching a bunch of people. But even if it just reaches 10 people, even if it just gets to 10 people, even if it just gets through to my brother, that's all that matters. Literally, that's all that matters. My goal and then my action is episode once a week on every platform, including visual recording on YouTube. Because I've just been putting it out on Spotify because that's what made me comfortable. Honestly, I was putting out a few that had visual, but At the time, I was really dealing with acne, and I would like cake my face almost to get ready for a video, and sometimes I wouldn't even want to post the video because I didn't feel like I looked good, or I don't know, I was like insecure essentially. And how is insecurity gonna vibrate any sort of good energy field? I don't know. So my skin has cleared up significantly since I've been home because my mental health has significantly gotten better. I went to a dermatologist. I took steps towards the goal that I wanted of clear skin, and my confidence has definitely gotten better through that. And I feel like I'm at a place where I can put out visual content. Yes, it makes it harder. Yes, I can't just sit in my bed and press record, but it's worth it, because how am I going to have the best podcast in the world if it's only on Spotify? Look at all the best podcasts. They all have it on YouTube. It's on Apple Music. It's everywhere. So I need to act and work like I have the best podcast. I can't act and work like I have a mediocre podcast. I have to act and work like I have the best podcast in order to get the best podcast. That's how it works. I have another goal to put out one yoga video a week on YouTube. I'm going to tell that to you guys so that I do it. I really want to start teaching more yoga on YouTube as well as in person, just because it's also a way to give back. It's also a way of service for me. It gives people peace. It gives people clarity. It gives people a time for meditation and self and just to love themselves. And you're able to teach through yoga in a way like none other. So I really, it's one of my passions, and it's basically what I'm gonna do. Also, pray before I go to bed. I don't believe in no, I'm basically agnostic. I believe in every single religion. I'm agnostic. I believe in all of the religions. I think that it all ties back to one, and I don't like choosing sides. I've already talked about this, and political and religious and whatever, because I feel like it divides and I want to unite. I don't want to divide. I want to unite. And so, but I pray. I have faith in a higher power that loves me, and it also is interconnecting all of us, and it knows more than I do, and it's able to do more than I can sometimes. And when I pray, it's weird. Almost instantaneously, things that I pray for come. Like I prayed the other night to just be better for my mom and to empower her, but also support her and love her better, because she moves like God. Like she only thinks, how can I serve? How can I improve? How can I make people's lives better? That's what this whole camp is. Like literally, it's how can I make kids' lives better and also the counselors' lives better, and how can I give people what I didn't have when I was growing up, and how can I give them just a place to call home and a place to feel safe and secure? What can I do? Any instance, that's what she thinks. So how can I help her? Because all she thinks is other people. She barely thinks about herself. And I was telling her, you should tell your story, Mom. Like you need to speak up about your story, whether that's she started a YouTube channel as well, and she wants to do a podcast, but whether that's to a podcast, YouTube channel, or also just the kids that are here at camp, you've got 100 people that look up to you. None of these even counselors know your story. Some of them have worked here for 10 years and they don't know your story. They don't know that you came from nothing. They don't know that you had to work your way up to this person. Like who she is, she's blonde, she's always wearing nice clothes, she's got jewelry on, her nails are done. She looks like a rich bitch, okay? Period. Like, she looks like privileged as fuck. And a lot of people look at her and they just think that immediately. Okay, she's privileged. She's just rich. She's like, she didn't have to, I don't know. She's not, a lot of people look at her and they don't think like what she's trying to do is serve others. And she's sitting as her highest self. Like that's how she's able to give her best, is because she feels her best. Yeah, I think that it would inspire a lot of people for them to hear like, hey, I had to really work my ass off to get to this place. And every single day I'm still working my ass off. Every single dime that I have is in this campus, so that I can improve lives, so that I can make the world a better place. I'm supposed to be at the age of retirement, but I'm still working 24 hours around the clock every single day to build something. Like a lot of people think that she doesn't do much because they don't see it. They don't see her doing everything, but she does everything. She makes the world, like, she makes it turn in ways that other people can't. And she makes those decisions that other people can't make because she's a leader. really quick, I wanted to show you guys this face map from Ancient Remedies. This book is called Ancient Remedies. I started using it because, like I told you, I wanted to start making my own skincare. I want to start getting into like holistic healing. Like I want to be like a little witch doctor type of thing. And this book has taught me so much, and I just wanted to kind of highlight some things for you guys because it might benefit you. So first, I wanted to show you this tree. I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to show it to my YouTube people. You can pause it, look at the tree. But basically it talks about symptoms that you see. So when you see a tree above ground, voila, you see the tree above ground, right? And those are the symptoms. Those are what you see. Underneath, though, there's all these roots, and those are the root causes. And it's like the roots are stress, unhealthy diet, negative emotions, poor sleep, inactivity, toxins, trauma, genetics. Right? I've told you that genetics, this is proven. 95% of your genetics are created by you through your thought patterns. They can be passed down from your parents because a lot of the times your parents' thought patterns are passed down to you. Okay? So it's healable. It's a pattern that can be fixed. It's not a sticker that's on you forever. It's a pattern that can be fixed if you work through it, if you deal with it, if you sit down, talk to yourself. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Okay. How can I deal with it? Yes, I'm safe. I'm secure. I got you. I will always be here. I will choose what's good for you. Dealing with the traumas, talking to people about it, reading books on it, talking to a therapist, whatever helps you. A therapist didn't really help me. I had to read a bunch of books. The symptoms that come out from the roots: gut problems, diabetes, hypothyroid, cancer, chronic pain, autoimmune, depression, viral infection. And then this is a face map. Basically, you can see from the face map what type of organ or place in the body, what type of organ it's affecting with what like skin conditions you're showing on your face. I would always break out here on the bottom like of my cheeks, and that is associated with lungs. Like I said, I was smoking every single day for 4 years. If you've ever seen what a bong looks like after a month, imagine what my lungs looked like. I never took a detox. I never drank tea like that. Like I never took care of my lungs. And also I grew up with asthma as a kid. Like I definitely was suffering from something with my lungs. And also the oxygen is your lifeline. That's what can cure anxiety, can cure depression, is simply breathing, simply regulating your nervous system. I stopped smoking weed. I started taking actions towards my skin as well, and my skin has cleared up significantly. I'm really only dealing with scars right now. I don't really have any blemishes. I only have scars. Lastly, in this book is just the adrenal body battery. So recharging your battery is faith, hope, prayer, meditation, spiritual reading, time in nature, 8+ hours of sleep, nutrient-dense foods, light exercise, deep relationships, and purpose. Depleting your battery is stress, fear, worry, low self-esteem, self-comparison, overwork, poor sleep, unhealthy diet, digital devices, toxic relationships, and lacking identity. So also ask yourself, like, how much screen time? Like, look at your screen time. Look at what you're wasting your time on. Literally wasting your time. What are you giving your time to? What are you giving your energy to? What could you be giving your energy to instead? I was like, I always finish my day at 9:30. I try to, at least. And a lot of the times at that time, I'm like, crap, like I still wanted to do this, this, and this, and I didn't have time to do it. And I was looking at my screen time and also other things in my life that were kind of taking from me. How could I be more productive? How could I be more effective with my time? How can I, like, minus the things that aren't benefiting me so that I can add the things that are? Try and figure that out for yourself as well. Okay. It's been a long episode, but I had a lot to say, and I feel like we got somewhere. Lastly, I want to end the episode I want to give you guys something to meditate on, something to think about throughout the week. And this is what prompted my brother and I's conversation yesterday. Was I said, basically the thing about the chakra of you get to choose your life. You chose this life, you know? And if you don't have to firmly believe that, but just think about it. If I chose this life, why? Why would I choose this life? When I was at Electric Forest, I was thinking about that. Honestly, I was on psychedelics. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be real with you. And like, what I'm trying to tell you guys, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not. I do things. I made mistakes. I still make mistakes. And sometimes I like to experiment with my mind and body and whatever. And I like to push myself to certain places to learn from it, I guess. I don't really know. But, or just because I'm stupid and ignorant sometimes. But I was, whatever. And honestly, the thought came to me when I was on it. And it was like, this is why I chose this life. Because I chose this life for freedom. I was telling you guys about how my mom never really put restrictions on me when I was growing up. I didn't really have rules or like a time to come home or a curfew or things like that. And when I was picking colleges, she wasn't sitting there with me like, okay, this is what you need to do, or da 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 da. Like, it was all in my hands. My life was all in my hands. It was all up to me because it was all up to her. She had to do it by herself. She had no idea what, like, and also I was extremely independent. I would push her, like, I'd be like, let me do it. And I think I chose this life for freedom. I think I chose this life. I think I talked about this in the last episode, actually, but I think I chose this life so that I can fully express myself limitlessly. I don't have anybody, and so, like, people, obviously, my mom has sometimes commented too, like, I wouldn't share that, or like, I don't believe in that, or I don't know. But that kind of just rolls off my shoulder. It doesn't affect me. That's sometimes what you gotta be. You gotta be like a lotus flower. That's what my yoga teacher says. You gotta be a lotus flower. Like how they come out of muddy waters fully protected. And they're like the flower that grows in like ponds and like with lily pads and stuff. They come out of the water fully protected. When they're like this, they kind of work like an umbrella. Like the water droplet like hits them and it just comes right off. You gotta let that come, like just drop right off of you. Words, whatever. Nothing has an effect unless you give it one. Nothing has a meaning unless you give it one. So it's your choice. Like, you can't control the world around you. You can't control the triggers and things like that, but you can control how you act. You can control how you respond. So, if you chose this life, why did you choose this life? Put it into theory. If you chose this life, why? And that is it. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you guys so much for giving me your time and your energy. It means literally the world to me. If you have any questions, please comment them. Follow me on Instagram, DM me, anything. I want to be here for you. I want to have a conversation, have a difficult one. Tell me your problems, tell me your pushback, and let's walk through it. Let's have that conversation. If you're open and willing, I'd love to. The light in me wholeheartedly sees the light in all of you guys. Namaste. Peace be with all of you. I love you to death. Have a great day. Have a great week.